Hey guys, Trevor Cicuti here from Spine Wires, and today I want to talk to you about chest pain and most importantly a condition called costochondritis, because maybe you've been to your GP, you've had a whole workup done, maybe scans, ECGs, echocardiograms and all these things, and they've ruled out problems with your heart, but you're still getting this chest pain that nobody can find a cause for. So if this is you, please stay by. I'm going to go through all the details of costochondritis with you. But like always guys, if you do love our material, please like our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notifications, and we'll get the information out to you and keep you up to date with all the latest information we produce. Alright, so let me talk about costochondritis, because costochondritis is a very common cause of chest pain. And it can be quite easily confused by a lot of people for a heart attack because it has a very similar type of pain pattern within the chest itself. So most people with costochondritis will get tenderness around their sternum, around that middle area of the chest through there. But it's quite superficial, where heart attack type pain seems to be quite broad and all-encompassing, like a pressure through the chest. This pain is more through the sternum directly, so it's very superficial. So let me explain to you how this works. So if we can imagine this is your sternum here, these are your ribs coming off your sternum, so we're talking about the front of your chest here, coming through here. Costochondritis really talks about the inflammation of the cartilage that joins your ribs to your breastbone or to your sternum. So we have ribs coming through here, and this last bit here is actually a little bit of cartilage that joins the ribs to the sternum, and that allows for movement and gives a little bit of flexibility and rotation ability and the like as you breathe in and as you twist and turn to allow for that dynamic to occur through there. In some people though, what can happen is tension can occur in that area, and as you get tension on that area, it inflames those heads, that cartilage through that area, and this creates this exquisite tenderness right through this area. We find all this tenderness in these areas and potentially through the sternum as well. And it can be very easily confused with a heart attack. Just as it stays there for long periods of time. It can last for weeks and weeks on end as well. So one of the key things with this is that once we get that inflammation in those areas through that cartilage, as you just move around, whether you be breathing, rotating, maybe even just bringing your arms forward and backwards, as those ribs twist and turn, that inflammation becomes sensitive and you start noticing it. So it really is aggravated by any kind of movement, especially contraction of your pec muscles. So this is a really big issue. So if you imagine that's our ribs there, our pec muscles come from this top area here where our shoulder is, comes down and spread right across that area, attaching all right through those areas along the ribs themselves. So when we get contraction of that muscle, it pulls on this area, and that's why it's so tender when you contract, whether you do a push-up or maybe even just reaching forward to the handle of the car. This is what sets that off. So what can we do about this? All right, so there's a few things to understand first in regards to what you're actually feeling. So first thing is that we end up with tender ribs. So if you actually put pressure on the rib itself, you'll feel tender through that area, even on the sternum at time as well. Any movement, including breathing, reaching forward, doing any kind of exercise with your pecs, even swimming, and rotation will all tend to potentially create aggravation. Rotation, not so much compared to the others, but it can in some people create this tenderness and this pain as well. So what can we do about this? All right, so first thing you need to understand is, please, anytime you have chest pain, it needs to be investigated. Please don't just presume that something is costochondritis when you may be having angina or even a heart attack. Please make sure that you get properly checked. But in the cases of costochondritis, a few things you can do. The first one is to improve the function of the pec itself. So if the pec muscle is dysfunctional, it'll often create increased tension on the ribs themselves, and that can set this whole process off. Remembering you've got one that side and you've got one this side as well, and if they're both pulling, this can create a whole tension through that area and create a lot of problems. So the first one is to get the pec muscle sorted itself. This can be neurological from the cervical spine, it can be from the shoulders. There's a lot of different things that can contribute to problems with pec function. The next one we commonly see with this is liver dysfunction. So this is just something we've observed. So in the arts kinesiology, we speak about viscerosomatic reflexes, which are basically where organs tend to create problems in muscle or even in sensory issues, like heart attacks creating pain in the arm or in the jaw. And one of the things that's been documented over the years is that when the liver changes, it tends to affect the pec muscles quite considerably. So problems with liver function can potentially create issues through this area as well from what we've observed. And there's a lot of different things we can do with that. We can support our methylation pathways. We can support liver function generally through supplements like vitamin A, through herbals such as St. Mary's thistle, St. John's wort, all these type of things, which can create some improvement in liver function, potentially change that mechanism. We also want to get the inflammation down. Really, really important. This is a real big key one. Even if we get all this above area working, we need to get that inflammatory markers down. We can use topical anti-inflammatories, so things like creams such as Physio Cream and other creams like that you can rub into that. But the bigger thing is to look more systemically at chronic inflammation. So people with this type of pattern generally have chronic inflammation that needs to be dealt with. And chronic inflammation is triggered usually by the immune system or by insulin. So we really want to get the insulin markers down. So we want to move more towards a high-fat, low-carb diet. We can shut down that mechanism while using things like fish oil, turmeric, stuff like that, which can bring that marker down as well. And the other one, which is often forgotten with costochondritis, is the diaphragm. So remember, our diaphragm's coming underneath here, attaching to all these ribs as we go through. And if the diaphragm is dysfunctional, that can also create that tension that we're talking about, which is really important for us. So doing things like slow, deep abdominal breathing can really also make a difference to this and help calm that mechanism down. So dealing with it is usually a different prong approach, like a several prong approach that we need to deal with at the same time to calm this down. But there's a few things there that you can do yourself to get going, especially that slow, deep abdominal breathing, changing your diet around a little bit to reduce inflammation. A lot of times this is all that's needed to actually correct this. It can be very, very simple to correct. There are a few mineral deficiencies that are associated with it as well, such as calcium and stuff like this. But it's quite commonly a very simple thing to deal with and a very commonly misdiagnosed. So anyway, if that's you and you want some help, just please message me. My team is there to help you in any way that we can. If you're not sure if it's you or not and just want to get an idea of maybe this is you, just please feel free to message me. You can email me at any time as well at trevorchakouti@spinewise.com.au. Or otherwise, just post up down below, that's me, and our team will get in touch with you and have a chat to see what you might be able to do and make sure there's nothing more sinister going on underneath. Anyway guys, that's it for me for now. Look forward to seeing you in the next vid. Bye for now.